Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm a social recruiting trainer and speaker. I'm, of course, joined by my gorgeous co-host. Have you spotted the beautiful purple hair? Audra Knight, employer branding genius, nerd, whatever she's calling herself this week. But you'll notice we have a small problem. And that's because if you ask a sourcer on a show, well, they're probably too busy sourcing to remember to be on the no. Actually, he has remembered to be on the show. He's just on a conversation. Mike Chuidian will be joining us, hopefully, to talk about the future of sourcing as soon as possible. But
Max isn't stepping in. He's going to be the guest.
Max is stepping in. Blabcat is here, most importantly. I'll just sit here stressing about our non-existent guest. He's accepted and connecting. He's on.
There he comes.
Thank goodness before we give him shit.
Hey!
You're meant to arrive into the green room before the show. This is how it works. No.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Welcome.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to be on the show. Plus, it's Friday, right? So, you know.
Well, you're like sourcing right up to the minute. You're so dedicated to the cause.
I'm telling you, man. There's, there's a lot of work, man. We're kind of buried, but it's fun. I'm loving it. Yeah.
So where are you now? Because I haven't introduced you because you were late.
Oh.
Tell us about your new gig and how it's going.
Yeah, no. So a few weeks ago, I started at Lowe's, and our team from Sears basically came to Lowe's as well. So the gang's back together, and we're super, super stoked about this opportunity. This is a brand new function within Lowe's.
So cool.
They've never had a sourcing team ever before.
Wow.
And, it's pretty nuts, right? As an organization that big, doesn't have a sourcing function, and they've basically counted on their recruiters to find them talent. And you know how it is with corporate recruiters, right? It's just a constant fight with process and paperwork and scheduling, and they don't really have time to recruit, right? And source the folks. So they get bogged down, and they're basically just fielding applicants, that are applying. So
hey, just before you go on one sec, just for the European audience, I know.
Yeah.
I obviously know who Lowe's are, but can you tell us who Lowe's, like what Lowe's is?
So Lowe's is absolutely. So Lowe's is one of the largest home improvement big box retailers in the country. We've expanded to Canada, and we're opening new stores in Mexico. So the international Lowe's is well and alive, and it's growing every single year. It's a $60 billion company, and I'm so blessed to work for a company and them being open to a sourcing function, which is a really integral part of any big corporation, right? So also what's new to them is us being remote. So that's brand new to them. They've never, ever had a remote team ever.
Wow.
So we have to mind our P's and Q's. So absolutely.
I think being remote in that role is actually quite important because of the conversations you have.
Yeah.
You can't really have them in an office.
No, you cannot. And we found that
you need to be in a box in an office otherwise. So it's like, why not just work from home?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that's what we found out when the team was there a few weeks ago at the corporate offices in North Carolina. And it's you kind of have to watch yourself because our team has this this synergy amongst us, and we have it's kind of like a family, and we act the way we act, and we can't really act that way in corporate. You know what I mean? Which is it's fine. I get it. It's
Does that mean you can't wear your trainers in?
That's right.
Because you know those as well, aren't you?
Yeah. What's that, Audra?
What do you got today for shoes? I was expecting some
shoes. Okay, so let me just kind of.
Oh, here we go.
I have a lot to kind of.
But your shoes have their own Instagram account, right?
That's right.
Oh my Lord!
No, I'm joking. My Instagram account is just shoes. It's not. They've got their own. I was thinking.
That's right. No, it's lately it's just been I've had two posts of shoes, but lately it's just been whatever. you know, I don't post as much as I used to, but you know, I recently just bought a riding mower, if you can imagine, right? I use sneaker money that I could have used in the past, but there are no good sneakers coming out, so I bought a riding mower. And I use my discount too.
You will laugh because you're guaranteed to see our lawn on Instagram at the moment. And it was brand spanking new mower in December. And I didn't open it, of course, until March. What are we in now? April, May. And there's something wrong with it. So our lawn is like this long.
That's right. That's right.
We need to work out what's wrong with it. It's so funny.
That's right.
So, but yeah, it's really embarrassing every time I share a photo of the dogs. Like you can see them. So maybe I need to go back into the sneaker fund and buy another new lawnmower. So yeah.
Europe. I mean, Europe has, man, it's a dream for me to like go to a sneaker show in Europe, because it's like the style of sneakers that they have there is like that's my ish. Yeah.
Oh, well, German. Get you over to a conference that hopefully is on at the same time.
That's right. That's right.
So tell us more. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about the future of sourcing, which is obviously positive, which I love. But before we get onto that, how did you change Lowe's opinion to get in a sourcing function and a remote sourcing function? How did that come about?
Yeah, so
I like changing the mindsets a bit. I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kind of a backstory, right? So my boss, Donna Dolph, she was actually being courted by Lowe's for a while, and when they came to her first, you know, they're like, hey, we want you to consider like coming aboard and maybe, you know, directing a talent acquisition.
Yeah.
And she's like, you guys aren't ready for what I want to bring to the table. And they courted her for a while, and then finally they're like, okay, I think we're ready for what you are wanting to do and wanting to accomplish and transform. And so she had a lot of things that she shared with them in terms of, you know, performance, being efficient as a talent acquisition, or not only from a recruiting standpoint, but from like a kind of a like employment branding and like, you know, the systems that are in place. You know, why aren't certain things being automated when they should? Just some things that really slow down the process of recruiting, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, she's brilliant. She's genius. We need to bring her on. Whatever it takes, whatever you want, you got. So, the sourcing team is born at Lowe's. How
big is it?
Right now there's only 9 of us right now, and three of us are core sourcers. The others are more like intelligence gathering, and analysts, right? But we're building a team right now. The first phase, we're building out a team of 10. So we're putting out offers to about 7 people right now.
Wow.
And then the second phase in the fall, another 10. And then going into next year, I think the plan is to expand it to 40 sourcers. So there's a lot of opportunity, and the function is going to be huge. But what's cool about it is that we got some really, really good sourcers that are going to be coming on board, and we're super, super excited about it. I mean, you know, just kind of going through the interviews and things like that, and being able to ask, you know, questions of, you know, how do you source? What's your process? You know, how do you look for certain people? You know, people that we don't see on a day-to-day basis in the SourceCon community. Like, they brought it, and I'm just like super stoked on people like that, because, you know, they're not jaded with the whole conference thing, right? And they're really hard workers, and they know what they're doing, you know, from a sourcing standpoint.
A lot of really good sources are a little bit, I'm grossly generalizing here, forgive me, but they're a little bit introverted. So they're not necessarily going to go to the conferences, but it doesn't mean they're not doing an amazing job.
Yeah,
that's cool. But what I'm curious to know is what qualities are you looking for when you're doing that interviewing? Is it like the curiosity? Is it the
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The curiosity is a big thing, and being able to think outside the box, right? Just a different mindset. And what I tell sourcers who are just coming up and aspire to be sourcers is I tell them, it's really not, for me, it's not about the tools, right? Because the tools come and go. We see it every year in, year out. I mean, tools come and go. They're either getting hit up by LinkedIn and saying, no, you can't do this and that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I tell them it's not about the tools. Tools are great. If you want to find something quickly, tools are awesome. I love tools. I love the technology and whatnot. But, what happens if those tools go away? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What's your thought process behind, how you're going to look for people? What is your process for, from beginning to end? Like when you get the rec in your hands to when you pass it off to the recruiter.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of folks get caught up in like, oh, okay, what tool am I going to use and this and that, and it's really not about the tools, but it's about really thinking through what your strategy is going to be without those tools. Because if you don't have those tools, you need to be able to find people regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
you're reminding me of this day back in my agency days where the internet went down. Like the entire office had none, and we were just all going, there's that thing that like sits there with a cradle and digits. Oh gosh. Like we had to go old school and use the phone.
That's right.
But it was literally everyone sitting there going, we've forgotten how. We're so oh my god. And I'm going, this is way before social media exploded. Like
yeah. And I think when I'm looking at sourcers too, I'm looking for obviously it's a curiosity, but what's their their ability to kind of think outside the box when it comes to, like, if they're looking for let's say a financial analyst, aside from LinkedIn, where are you going to look? What areas are you going to tap? And I want them to tell me how they would walk. I would tell them to walk me through that process. How do you find a financial analyst away from LinkedIn, away from job boards? How do you find these people? And if they can give me a good answer, then I'm with them. Like I'm like, you're good, So, and I've had a few like that during my interviews, and obviously those people are getting offers. So. And it's not about the tools. Like I hate going into tools when I'm asked like I ask them, hey, what extensions do you use to, contact info? I mean, that's easy stuff. You know what I mean? But
you don't need a tool to do that anyway.
Yeah.
You can use the phone, ring the receptionist.
Hi. Yeah.
I've got this email address. Is that correct? Because it just sounds back.
Yeah, exactly.
I call that old school shit. I miss those days.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things too. Like, what I loved from a couple of them that I interviewed was there was probably 2 or 3 that said, if I'm looking for somebody and I can't get a hold of them, I usually just pick up the phone and call their work. What a novel idea.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, pick up the phone. That's old school stuff. I mean,
I had a really interesting debate during the week, though, because somebody was being quite self-serving about their software that apparently will obviously replace sources, which we're going to get to, but about that it's replaced the cold call. You just don't have to cold call. Like, I don't really call ringing a candidate cold calling anyway. To me, cold calling is like ringing into HR or something. But I'm just going, come on, it's the fastest way to get a response. And it's the fastest way to get someone's attention. Like, if they've never heard of Lowe's, which would be surprising in the US, but here, you're getting their attention, and then they might go do all the research. They might not take your call, but you got to do that.
The best about that ever. Like,
Debbie witnessed this debate. Oh God, she did, because I was getting frustrated.
We had what's Maureen's last name? Maureen that was on the show.
Yeah, Maureen.
Apparently she was not doing it.
She told us this whole way to like figure out a phone tree. She mapped out a phone tree from the whole company from calling the receptionist, and it was a crazy.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah, pretty nuts. Like her and Connie Ledesure are the ones who are phone sourcing experts. And
can you type that name into the box, because I don't know what the surname was you just said. And also, I don't think that Maureen's doing it anymore. I had this conversation with Shannon last night because I had the honor of having dinner with Shannon Pritchett last night. I feel special. She just messaged me. I'm trying not to read it. But yeah, she said that Maureen's not doing it anymore, which is tragic. Because I still think that, no wonder I didn't get what you just said. How do you say that? How do you say her surname?
On the show.
Connie.
For me?
How do you say Connie's surname?
Oh, it's Ledesure.
Ledesure. Okay, no wonder. I didn't get it when you said it.
Another question, like, when you're talking to these sources, do any of them like create personas of the person, like in depth, or is it just like I think about where what they're getting their mindset, or do they actually create personas?
No, I don't think they create personas, right? It's hard to say, but normally no. I think it's just a matter. I don't know. Some of them were kind of nervous. I don't know why. Like, when I'm on the phone, I'm not like say, hey, so you tell me what's the Boolean syntax for eliminating false positives? I'm like a pretty happy guy. I like to have them relaxed. You know what I mean? Because I want the best. I want the best out of them. You know what I mean?
I want to work with them, right? You want to know if you're going to gel. You want to know if you're going to gel, and that if they're not relaxed, you're not going to know that. Actually, Lee has a question. I don't want to miss it before it rolls up. Where'd it go? Lee had a question asking who you source for.
What do I source for? Who do I source for? Lowe's, but
no. What kind of people?
Oh, right. What kind of people? So right now, I'm just coming off a project sourcing and procurement. This is a different sourcing, right? Sourcing and procurement. That, but normally IT folks, that's my specialty, and data scientists, machine learning engineers.
Yeah.
And so I know that Lowe's has had challenges in the past, trying to recruit data scientists and stuff. And
there's a shortage of them.
Yeah, but you know what, man? When I was in, and I don't mean to toot my horn, but when I was at Sears, like I freaking built like a dope data science team, and I did it. I mean, it was like I contacted about 2,000 people, and the response rate for me was about 75%, and I was able to build that team, and it was.
Why was your response rate 75%? And what happened to the other 25%? Okay, no, that's a joke.
I know, that's right. I know, I'm kicking myself because Levy's in the 90s, man.
According to Levy. So let's pull it back to reality. No, Levy, I love you. My conference concubine, I do. But no, seriously. But 75% is insanely good. So why? I mean, this comes into the whole point of this, which is we cannot be replaced by robots. I don't believe that. So.
You know what? I think people get too caught up with the professional message, and they feel like, oh, if I'm not professional, like people won't take me seriously and blah 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 blah. But like, I try to project my messages as when they read it, they'll be like, oh, that he seems like a pretty cool guy. Like I want to hang out with them. That's kind of the projection that I want to put out there for my people that I'm trying to contact, because life's too short, man. People are too serious sometimes, and they need to let loose and be a little bit more creative with the messaging and really speak to the person, right? And you can do that on a mass level.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that they can do that. So it's just a matter of really refining. I'm always refining messages and like changing it up. And if one set of messages for 20 people don't work, and I get like 50% response rate, then I'm like, I got to switch it up. So I'll switch it up, and I'll get, I'll try another batch. I'm like, oh, okay, like went up to 52%. That's pretty cool. Like, you know what I mean? So,
can I just say, Matt Durran's been quite funny down the side here about too bad about those damn non-solicitation agreements. And I joking about, I don't know what you mean. In other words, I'd ignore them because I'm naughty like that. I'd find a way to put the job in front of them anyway.
They basically put a cease and desist on us, man. We can't pull anybody from Sears. But listen, no one
can. You tell your data scientists to get in touch with them. You kind of go up and go, here are their contact details. Here's the email. Please send it. There's always a way. Mike can't. Yeah, Mike can't. I can. I'll do it. Just tell me who and I'll send them an email. We can pick them all back over to you.
I love that.
It's like recruitment agencies do. They place over here. They headhunt out over here. It's like, why not? Why shouldn't the in-house crew do it?
That's right. What was that?
I want to hear more about how you can do like a bulk, not bulk, but mass messaging, but still make it personalized. How do you do that?
So I guess some people say it starts with the subject line. I get it. Yeah, you need a good subject line, right? You need to be able to kind of reel them in, I guess you could say. But I think the most important part of the message is really the first sentence, right? Because if you're, let's just say, I'm reaching out to, a slew of Java developers, and I think for us, for me at least, it's about, how can I grab them with the first sentence? Because if I can grab them with the first sentence, they'll read through the whole entire message, no matter how long it is. I know people get into this thing about, keep it short and sweet, but that's actually a myth. Ask Glenn Cathy about that. Ask Glenn Cathy about it. It's a myth. Like, listen, my messages average between 700 and 900 characters per, right? But you know what? My messages are fun to read. That's why, I throw, the first sentence basically is, I stay away. Hey, I just wanted to reach out. Stay away from that. I stay away from my name is. I stay away from I've got an opportunity. Just really boxed, boring, robotic, messaging.
Can I say something? Why? Like, how do you get the balance though, right? So let me give you an example, because obviously it's May the 4th. I happen to hate the fact we do this whole May the 4th thing because it's my sister's birthday. And that was their first. But anyway, there's a guy called Stephen Redford, and on Twitter he wrote, I feel physically sick, because he got a message that said, hi, Stephen, it's May the 4th. What kind of a person would I be if I didn't send you a Star Wars themed email? Before the Death Star explodes and these candidates take refuge somewhere else, I wanted to introduce them. So, okay, he's an agency selling into this tech guy, but the guy's gone. So how do you get the balance? By the way, that is so going into some conference presentation of mine somewhere, because I love it.
I love that. That's awesome. And
it's actually quite funny, but at the same time, it's gone down like a lead balloon. So, how do you get
your audience?
Yeah, I don't like so. And Audra, you were asking how I kind of did it on a mass level, right? There's a gosh, it's really hard to say, and for those of you who want an example of that, listen, I'd be glad to send you my message repository, and you could copy it verbatim if you want, or if you want, switch it up and experiment with the style of message it is. But it's really about, for me, really touching them with the first sentence. Like I'll say, hey, don't mean to bother you. Let me just give you an example.
Don't mean to bother? Wow.
But you start with don't mean to bother you?
See, you've already bothered them. You sent them a message.
No, but what's funny is people will respond to me, and like more often than not, I'll get a response that says, no bother at all. I'm glad that you contacted me. Okay. And I get messages like that all the time. Right?
It must be because what you follow it up with is relevant.
Exactly. So if you can create a really compelling first sentence and follow up with a second, you've already got them. They're going to read through the whole entire message because, you know, I want to exude fun on my message on the very first couple sentences, because then they're going to be intrigued to read even more. And that's how I do it.
Yeah.
And so whoever wants examples of that, I got a whole slew of them.
Yep.
Contact me.
I'm just warning you, Mark Mainsaw has just joined in from Australia, and because I know what time it is in Sydney, I've just asked him if he's drunk. So just in case he starts getting a little chatty down there, he's absolutely gorgeous, by the way, but just warning you. And then Carrie's offering to put up an article that's got some ideas of how to write great outreach, and I'm like, as long as it's not templates.
Michael Heller, I like
the opposite.
I like that. I like that, Michael Heller. I love you, buddy.
I know I'm bothering you, but
I like that more. I'm thinking from vendors, because I get 10, 20 emails from vendors, and they're all rubbish.
So I don't like anything that starts with I.
It's bad, man. It's really bad. Yeah, anything that starts with I.
Yeah, that's right. So how do you go, I know I'm bothering you? Because I'd go, it started with I, delete. Sorry, Michael. Sorry.
No, I mean, you know, there's
personal. It's just to me. Like I want it to be all about.
No,
me.
I know. Katrina, listen. I know you have different. Messaging, a different messaging style.
We all do, right?
We all do.
Yeah.
Whatever works, right? So, you know, for me, it's not even about, like, even though I do have a repository of messages, I still try to find a way to be more creative, because, you know, things are going through my head. I'm like, hey, what if I did this? Let's try this. So I'm constantly experimenting, right? And I think that is another trait of a sourcer that I look for is really, how much do you experiment? You know, how much do you try things, right? You know, do A/B testing on certain things, you know, and see which one turns out the best. But experimentation is definitely at the top of my list when it comes to evaluating a good sourcer. So.
Oh, I've just put it as number 2. Oops. I put number 1, curiosity, number 2, experimentation. There could be typos there. I blame Shannon.
That a recruiter needs 2, or are these specific to a sourcing, you think? And a recruiter needs more like.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, Audra, because I don't know. I think today's sourcer is well. Let's see. There's 2 types of sourcers. There's a sourcer that generates, you know, names, and it does research, which is awesome, and provides intelligence for the recruiting team. And then there's a sourcer that kind of does both, right? I'm that guy. I do both because I come from the agency side. I've made 250 calls a day or a week. And
just for those that don't remember, this is a phone.
That's right. And so, you know, I come from that. I come kind of from the old school, right? Before or right after the Rolodex was the hot, like, you know.
Can you explain to Audra what that is? She's quite young.
I remember.
That's right. Yeah, you know what?
I miss my Rolodex. They're kind of fun. Just for a quirky thing to have sitting on the desk, it'd be quite fun.
Are business cards going to disappear? Are people going to still have those, do you think, in the future?
What's that?
Martin Lee, I see your comment about there's a big difference between what works in the US and Europe. Yeah, I totally agree. Like I haven't had the opportunity to recruit much in Europe, and I hope with Lowe's expanding internationally that I'll be able to kind of do that, and hopefully, because everything's different in Europe. That's why I want to attend a sourcing conference in Europe.
Are you coming to Budapest?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not, unfortunately.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's stick you on a plane. Take a plane ride.
That would be awesome.
We won't worry about the cost. But in a way, yeah, Martin's right. There is a difference, but in a way there isn't, because I think it all comes down to courtesy. It comes down to like respecting their time, being a recruiter that's worth, or a sourcer that's worth someone's time, that kind of thing. It's like those are fundamentals. Then how you perhaps write the message, of course. You know, the Germans certainly will want it a different way to how the Americans will want it. and stuff like that. But then I think that also comes down to age. Don't hey me. You know, I've said so many times, like, don't start with hey Katrina, or just hey.
I feel like that's specific to you, though. Or is it
empathy number 3? Empathy is number 3, right?
I think it's crucial.
Yeah, I think so.
This is all the cognitive stuff, right? I just typed empathy somewhere. It's not, I didn't type it in the comments box. Hey, by the way, we've got a question here because somebody wants to take us off piste. Guess who? Mr. Heller. Off topic, what's your go-to dead on for increasing communication between the recruiting team and hiring managers? Slap them with a dead fish? No?
No. That's a great question. That's a great question, Mike. You know, over the last couple of years that I've been working with Donna, and I mean, I don't think I could work for anybody else because she's just amazing, because of how she manages and how she runs a sourcing team. It's probably like no other. It's unconventional, and some won't even understand it. But one thing that I love about her is that she's extremely transparent. Like, you know, if I happen to mess up on something, like, she'll let me know. Like, look, dude, come on, let's step it up here. You know,
look, dude,
and I appreciate that though. Because listen, if she hadn't told me, like, maybe if she didn't tell me like 8 months down the road that I was messing up, I kept on doing the same thing. Guess what? I'll probably get fired.
Yeah.
You know? So
also, I think that's not fair on you. It's not fair on the company. It's not helping anyone. Yeah. Absolutely. So she's extremely transparent, and I've had a lot of managers that were not transparent at all, and they just set you up for failure. You know, no matter how good you are, you know, they set you up for failure, and it really comes down to management. She's the best of the best. So were you therefore? I mean, are you dealing directly with hiring managers then, or do you tend to deal with a recruiter who's dealing with the hiring?
So we're slowly but surely, you know, getting to that point, right? We're just kind of massaging it right now, because right now the recruiting, the recruiting.
That was quite a visual. Hi, please give me
that's right. Yeah, we're kind of massaging it right now. But they normally the recruiting group, you know, interacts with the hiring managers, but I think as the weeks go on and they see the value of what this sourcing team can bring, which, by the way, is going really well right now, and really happy with our work, is really, you know, being able to accept sourcers being in the intake meeting. And that's something that they have to get used to, because, like, we need that information. And, you know, there are certain things in an intake and in an intake that a sourcer is going to ask that a recruiter
won't. Yeah.
Right? And I bless Steve Levy's heart, because his intake sessions, let me just tell you guys, I worked with Steve at Sears, and his intakes are just,
I can't imagine,
like, amazing.
Does he ask quirky stuff like what size shoes do they need to wear?
No, I mean, you know, he asks.
He'd ask everything. Yeah,
he does. He asks everything, and like things that you wouldn't even think of, man. And as a matter of fact, I need to call him, because, you know, I need to get, before I go into some intake meetings with some of the technologists at Lowe's, I want to be equipped to ask these questions. So I'm definitely going to hit him up. But he's just amazing.
We need to have him back on the show.
I totally imagine him having like the hiring manager and like a seat in the corner and a hot light on them.
Under
what's
pressure.
What's good about Steve too is he has an engineer background, so you know, he's able to like kind of talk the jargon and like you know, get really granular with stuff, you know. So he's awesome. Yeah.
Lee Candiotti's got another question here, which is spot on. So what kind of things does he ask, or you ask, either or?
Oh man.
Speaking of the spotlight, it's quite early for you, isn't it, Mike?
Absolutely. I'm trying to think, and like his questions are so complex too, to where like I'm like, oh, okay, dang, I didn't even think about that. you know, and like I can't even think of any right now. I'm sorry.
Do you know what, Lee? I think we just need to have Steve on a show.
I think I think
do an intake show. We haven't done a show with him for a while, so
yeah, definitely. He is a fun guy, man. He's such a fun-loving guy.
I get to see him soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, because he'll be at Budapest in June. I think he's coming on to Santorini with us as well. So God help our livers. Great fun. They're so chatty.
Hey, Lee,
awesome.
I'll find out for you, Lee, and you know, I'll send those questions to you if you want. I'd be glad to do that.
Yeah.
We're all about sharing here in the SourceCon community.
Absolutely. And I think that's, again, goes back to the future proofing, the robot proofing, as I keep calling it. It all comes down to all the stuff you're talking about, but that sharing as well. And I know we've got Jan Tegs is coming up. And I am indeed, Sue. Sorry, are you going to Santorini? I am, only for 2 days. But we've got a show coming up all about, like his last blog post that he just wrote on SourceCon, and obviously his book and the community, and about the sharing as well. David Nicola, how appropriate. He's on Star Wars Day.
My man, David Nicola.
We didn't even think of that.
Genius.
Nicola.
Yeah, get the name right. He gets upset. I won't pronounce it anymore. Sorry, David. I haven't seen him in the comments for ages. This is awesome. Look at the crowd you've drawn.
Like a couple questions that you do ask the hiring managers when you're in intake meetings. Do you have a couple examples of yours?
Let's see.
I'm still trying to think.
Yeah, no, I am. You know, it's kind of you know, when I'm in an intake meeting, I don't even have notes. Like I just like something will come to mind, and I'll be like, oh, by the way, you know, usually I like to ask, you know, what besides the hard skills, right? What are you guys looking for in a team member? You know, what kind of personality is gonna jive well with your team? You know, because I think if there's one bad apple in the team, then some things tend to fail, right? So it's really important for the team to have somebody that they can collaborate with, that they can mesh with, you know, not only from a business perspective, but also a personal perspective. So, and that's a question. Sometimes it's a hard question for the managers.
I want to follow up to that, though. I definitely agree with that you have to really get along and mesh. Like your team, you said you're all in sync with each other. But do you worry about some hiring managers saying like what they want is someone just like them, and then you don't end up with like diversity on the team? Or does that not happen?
Yeah, I've had that before, and I just tell them, look, that's not realistic. It isn't. You know, we can't really find someone like you, right? Because everyone's different in their own way. You know, even today, you know, my manager's like, hey, you know, we need to find someone exactly like you. And I'm like, I don't know, like, you know, I mean, I lack some things in sourcing, and, you know, and some things I'm really good at. So I don't know. But yeah, Audra, that's a good question. That's a good question.
David, no one is like Chewy. And Sue's agreeing with you as well. That was my thought too about diversity. Aaron's woken up. Good morning. Catch the replay. You want to get the first 30 minutes. Oh my God, you've missed out on so much stuff.
Yeah, she's missed all the good stuff.
You missed all the good stuff. Damn it. How boring. Your job got in the way.
What do you say, Mike, if people are like, oh, all these AI is we won't even have jobs?
I think it's bullshit. Sorry for my language there.
You think that's language?
Oh, I know language.
I know the language
you want me to. No.
I swear, every time I come to America, you guys swear like troopers off stage. As soon as I get on stage, it's like, don't swear, Katrina. You're not allowed to say fuck. Whatever you do, don't say fuck. It was like, but you've just said it 200 times off stage. Why can't I? Oh,
that's right.
Man.
That's right. Good question. Yeah, so AI is great. Listen, I'm not knocking AI at all. I think it's awesome. I think for convenience sake, it's great. But as far as taking our jobs as sourcers and recruiters, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's, I think there's just not enough substance there that you could put into AI that can replace the human brain. I don't see Hire Tool or Seek Out doing Google searches and trying to find resumes on Google. I don't know. Is it someone tell me if they're doing that? I don't know. They're great tools. Yeah. They're great tools to use. I mean, I use them. Seek Out I use for GitHub, and that's kind of a game changer right there, because GitHub, when I'm sourcing on GitHub, it's fun for me to source on GitHub just alone without any tools. But to have the speed and kind of drill down in terms of the skills that I'm looking for, it's pretty amazing. But
I just think it's never going to pick up all the things that will make someone change jobs. So you're going to miss people.
Yeah, it really won't. Like, can AI do an intake meeting for me?
No. And
Right?
like, I think you were in on my SourceCon presentation when I talked about, like, I'm an open book, but I don't talk about being a highly sensitive person. So I've got hearing, I can't stand being around people when I'm working. I need silence. Certain perfumes give me a headache and all this kind of stuff. So I can't actually be in an office. I don't write that on the internet to be found, so therefore you still got to talk to people.
Yeah.
You've still got that human.
Yeah.
I still don't ever feel it will have its place in sourcing, like as a taking over from us.
Yeah,
as a complement to help.
It never will, because the human brain's always thinking of stuff, right? And for AI to translate that, to translate what we're thinking in our brains when it comes to search and how we're trying to find people, like, hey, can AI find me a conference list for me that I'm looking for a specific conference in a specific industry? No.
Sure. No? Not yet.
Yet. I'd love to see it. And whoever
But that's like a very static thing. That's a list of names at a conference, right?
Right.
But I'm more talking about, like, you find that person and thinking that the robot can just do the entire job.
Yeah,
of someone, talking to them again. It's like, it won't think to ask about, well, how does your partner feel about you moving? Or do you have kids? Or do you have animals? Or, like, what kind of office are you best in? What's, how do you work best? All that kind of stuff.
And also, too, like, there's automation of interview questions, right? Which is kind of odd. Like, you're just like, I mean, you're setting yourself up for BS, basically. The answers, right? Yeah. Because there's nothing that AI can, there's nothing that can replace a phone call to someone or a face-to-face meeting with someone to get the genuineness of the interaction.
The stuff they're not saying.
The stuff they're not saying. And the stuff and the stuff that they didn't have to think about when they read the question and then wrote down the answer, what they thought was the right answer, but was actually the wrong answer. So, it's not. Yeah. So
sometimes you're inspiring the thought pattern to the answer, not the answer.
That's right.
Seeing how they, aren't you? Like, you're seeing their curiosity and all that stuff we talked about at the beginning to get to that point.
Yeah.
So
exactly. There's AI is never going to take the jobs of recruiters or sourcers. There's just too many factors involved, when it comes to the process and all this stuff,
Who called it clickbait? Someone called it clickbait back up here. I thought that was spot on. Everyone who's writing it will take over. Clickbait.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Aaron Stevens said that AI will handle all the bullshit that we hate. Yeah, I agree.
I
agree.
I think it could be great in that they've already arrived on your website. They're looking at your career site. It can pop up and start chatting to them, keep them there. Yep. It can automate your interviews. It can automate your follow-up. Like, that.
Their experience on the website to see the right content.
Yeah. So here's kind of the other side to AI, right? And aspiring sourcers, coming up the chain. and I kind of stated this, I guess, in the beginning, AI sets you up for kind of like a lazy sourcing mentality. You depend so much on the tool. Like, let's just say a tool like Recruitum, which is a free tool, right? You could enter in a job title, a location, the skills. It'll draw out a search string for you, and boom, you got results, right? But what if that tool's gone? That's why it's always good to kind of teach the basics. Not only Boolean. Boolean's great. I love Boolean because but there's other search techniques
to know how to go and not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I haven't heard people say it's going to go away.
What's that, Audra?
People say that it's going to go away and won't be needed because, like Google can kind of figure out what but
it depends where you're using it though. So like if you're actually using your ATS, which would be quite rare for most people, you need to add some knots if that's how it's set up. It might not be set up that way.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I tell people I always the question that I ask sourcers is, take me through your sourcing process. What's your sourcing process like? And, they'll say, oh, I'll start here, searching on I'll use a particular tool and then blah, 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 blah. And it's it's all jumbled up and they're using these tools, they're being fancy and blah, 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 blah. But it's dude, that's not really a sound sourcing strategy or sourcing process, right? I like to start with the ATS first, especially if it's huge, like ours. You can have a lot. I'm having a lot of fun on it. So
you don't need tools to find emails and phone numbers; they're already written in there.
That's right. That's right. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
I know, right?
First, I don't understand. People want to get all fancy with their tools and extensions, and I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Look at that. We've got 3 million people sitting here in an applicant tracking system.
That's right. That's right.
Hang on, what was that, Audra?
Some of the old school ones, though, are not easy to source in.
No, true.
Like the old school ATSs.
True.
That's true.
But it's still crazy not to sell it.
I mean, I don't think any ATS is perfect.
Yeah.
In terms of search.
I mean, one of the things you still can't do is attach a Word document to an email, for example. So you still can't apply on your phone and attach unless you've got Drive and Dropbox, etc. So tech is not necessarily caught up with what we want. So I think the applicant tracking systems are still trying to catch up with what we need them to be. And they're just going,
Yeah, there's some good ones out there, though. There's some good ones out there.
I take it Workday isn't one of them, according to hashtag Workday fail. Any favorites that you've got?
Of ATSs?
That are good for search, specifically.
Oh, man.
You can come back to us later if that's an under pressure, question this early in the morning.
I mean, let's see. I've worked with Bullhorn. I've worked with Conexa. I've worked with, I've tried out Avature before. Let's see. What else? Man, I can't think.
I love it when we have really opinionated people making comments. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I don't know.
There's like an applicant tracking system bashing going on the side.
I just want to get to the information that I want to get to, man.
Yeah.
And if I can't get there, then I'll ask support how I can get there. If they can't get me there, then screw them.
Yeah.
But there is a way. I mean, you're always going to find really good candidates that have been, contacted, but they never contacted you back. Like 3 years ago, and those are the folks that I want to talk to, man.
Exactly. Lee has written another great comment. Thank you, Lee. Tools should support human interaction, not replace it. Tools should be used to make you. Oh, stop typing, people. Tools should be used to make you more effective. They don't replace what you do as part of human interaction. Exactly.
Yes.
Definitely in capital letters from Erin. I think she's yelling at the computer. Debbie's come out from behind the logo. Here she is. There's a whole thing about being human going on down the side here. Everyone's coming out from behind their little. It's awesome.
What is your current favorite tool that you're using a lot? It can be sourcing.
So my favorite tool, I don't know, data miner.
Yeah.
I love data miner, just how you can control the parameters of what you're scraping, you know, but that's a scraping tool, right? So
which should be really known in Europe going forward.
So how do you use it? I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. Let's see, a recruiting tool right now. I'd have to say Seekout right now. Seekout is, sheesh, man, I'm using it right now, and the search function is just, man, I was just kind of blown away by, you know, how many things you can search, how you can search, the parameters of, you know, diversity, you know, U.S. You know, citizens doing that search. It's gosh, it's a really well-rounded search tool, man. I mean, I don't know what else is left.
Is it just search stack or the internet?
So it aggregates, you know, several, you know, platforms. They have one function where it aggregates, you know, several different platforms, you know, anywhere from LinkedIn to Facebook to Weebly to Quora to whatever. It'll aggregate any of those social sites. And then they have another function where it's just GitHub. And that function right there, it was just mind blowing. When I saw it, I was like, whoa, like I was just kind of blown away because like of the way they put together how they can rank folks who are on GitHub who are, you know, presumably really good coders and have clean code. And in a specific discipline too. So if it's Java or, you know, C++ or Python or whatever it is, like it just drills down to that. And I'm just like, wow, man, that thing is, whoo, that's powerful. That's really powerful. Like really, really impressed with that. But I wouldn't put it past them because from what I hear, one of the owners is a former engineer for the Bing search engine. So there you go. Brilliant mind. So right now they just have the search function, but like I think in a month or two they're gonna have like you know, messaging capabilities with drip function and all that stuff. So that's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be OD, man. I can't wait to utilize it. But that's a great tool. Yeah. Nothing against HireTool. HireTool is a great tool as well. You know, shout out to my man Nin. But you know, using Seekout here in the last week, it's been pretty crazy. Like,
have you tried Amazing Hiring?
I have. We actually tried it. We had it at Sears. And I didn't use it that much. And I don't know.
European. I love it. I think it's great.
Why? What do you love about it, Katrina?
It just the results it delivers. I've just found it really good in that respect. But maybe it's because I'm sitting over here in Europe. Maybe. I just, yeah. I mean, I know that they say they're very tech specific, but it seems to reveal answers on everybody, and they seem quite accurate. And you know me, I'm always about the mapping across the social networks. So it seems to reveal more social networks that others do.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to keep up with this chat down here, and I just can't. It's going like crazy. It's awesome. Clearly having Chewy on May the 4th was the right idea. It's gone mad down there. We have like 6 minutes left. How's this happened? And
I don't know, joins in the last. You guys are too fun, man. Like, listen, I don't get out enough as it is, and just to be on this chat is pretty refreshing. And you know, I try to get together with like Shannon and the gang and the SourceCon gang from time to time. It's not on a consistent basis, but like, man, I miss my like family. You know, my family outside of.
To come on the chat more often.
You know.
Okay, I still need to understand this because Debbie has said twice, like, and thank you. So she wants to mic for the turn on. Now I'm getting it. It obviously means something else over there.
What's that?
I don't know what Debbie means by Katrina. And thank you, Katrina, for the turn on.
I think she means giving you information.
Okay, right. I'm turning on to something new. Okay.
Yeah, something new. There you go.
Right, I feel it's David Nicola, but you've called him Nicola, and I'm all worried now. I've forgotten how to pronounce his name. Come to Source in Toronto. I'll be there too.
Yeah, that sounds fun. You know, it's just it's just a plane ride up. So
yeah, come.
That might be an option.
Yeah, I'm there too. I'm so excited. I haven't been to Toronto. I've literally only just popped into Canada before, so I'm quite excited about that.
Make sure Michael makes your animals around too.
That would be interesting.
Does he go to conferences? I feel like he doesn't.
I don't think he does. He's a hermit, man.
Yeah.
He stopped coming onto our show. Did we offend him?
I think you did, not me.
Did I offend him? Look, I'm Vegemite. I offend everybody. You either love me or hate me. There's no middle ground. Is it, Lee? Toronto's the new tech center. Oh, that's awesome. Right, so we only have 4 minutes left. Oh my goodness, how's this happened? I'm just absolutely like, we need 2 hours. This should just be another hour.
I know. With drinks, with cocktails, man.
With drinks. Next week, I'm super excited. Actually, it carries on beautifully from this because we're going to go more into the messaging. I've got Samila, I cannot say her surname, but by next week I'll be able to, coming on, who's speaking at SourceCon in Europe, and she's going to be talking about what she discovered when she basically asked 40 developers what they thought of us and how we can do really creative and personal messages and how that really helped her. So delving in a bit deeper from what we've just done. So it's actually flowing beautifully, and I didn't even plan that.
I like it.
I certainly didn't plan Chewy on May the 4th at all. That didn't even enter my head. That was just pure luck. That was universal intervention.
Hey, to be honest with you guys, I was kind of getting sad because all my friends were on this show, and I was like, man, how come you're not calling me though? Like,
yeah, but you guys have to tell us because we just don't think. It's not intentional. It's just like, how the hell's Mike not been on? Like, we go through a list and go, how the hell have all these people not been on? What have we been doing? They're all our mates and we haven't invited them. We feel awful.
Hey, look at Jimmy's on.
Yeah, he came on like at 6 minutes too. He'll catch the replay. But yeah, actually on that, guys, if you want to be on, please tell us. Don't think it's it just sometimes Audra and I get so bogged down in our actual jobs, we forget. So,
I miss you guys, man. Katrina, I haven't seen you since
2015 or 16.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Were you at my SourceCon that I keynoted at in Anaheim?
Wait,
I was. Oh yeah, you were there. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so last year.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Kat, who's behind you? The dog walker.
We all got to meet together at Recruit DC.
Hey, Jimmy, how come you don't miss my face?
Crazy. Right, on that awesome note, we do need to make sure we do this more often. Maybe we just have to have a once a month meetup. Oh, I love you too, Jim. But Audra won't be happy about what you just wrote. Right. Thank you so much for all of those pearls of wisdom. That was Audra, thank you as well. Guys, we'll see you same time next week.
But how can people find you? What's your Twitter handle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is @Mike Chuidian. It's MikeChuidian. I'll put it down in the messaging here.
Yeah, me too.
And you can on LinkedIn and catch me on Instagram. It's @DJMTHR33.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't fast enough to type that. You'll have to type it in.
That's right. So I'll get that in there for you guys. And it was so fun with you guys.
I know.
I mean, seriously.
We should keep talking, but we've done an hour. Yeah, thanks for getting off your call eventually. Yeah.
Hey, I made it on time, man. I made it at 10 o'clock on the dot. So
yeah, more like a minute or so after, but that's okay. We love you anyway. Right. On that note, we shall see you all next week. Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you guys so much. It was fun. Awesome. Bye. See you guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.